Did you know that Bitcoin was created to solve real problems with money? You probably first noticed Bitcoin because of its price going up, but that is just a symptom. The real story is that Bitcoin solves deep, everyday problems that affect you, me, and billions of people worldwide. In this video, I will walk you through 5 of the biggest problems that Bitcoin solves. These aren't hypothetical problems, they are happening right now. Maybe you think, I've got a bank account. Inflation doesn't hit me too badly. I'm not living in a developing country, but I have lived in one of the wealthiest financial hubs on the planet, and I have still witnessed firsthand how quickly these distant problems can land on your own doorstep. So let me show you what I've learned. Let's start with the most obvious one, inflation. It's baked into the fiat system. We're told it's necessary for the economy, even healthy. But every year, your money buys less. Groceries, fuel, rent, property, nothing stays the same price.
I'm managing, but am I building savings? Hell no. Am I making more money? No. Am I giving more and more money to my landlord? All these other, all my money is going away from me.
During the pandemic era, central banks printed more money at a faster rate than ever before. Trillions in just months. That flood of cash didn't solve much. It inflated asset prices, it pushed up the costs of goods and services, and by 2022, official inflation hit highs not seen in decades. And even when the official CPI says that inflation is only 2 or 3%, we all know our own cost of living is growing much faster than that. So the problem here is that the middle class gets squeezed, while those closest to the money printers, governments, banks, and big corporations, they come out ahead. It's a two-tiered society, the haves and the have-nots. Bitcoin flips this. Its supply is fixed at 21 million, which was coded in from the start. No central bank can change that. On a Bitcoin standard, money can't be debased. Instead, as technology naturally lowers production costs, goods tend to get cheaper, not more expensive. And that's why Bitcoin is called hard money. It protects your savings from endless inflation. If you are finding this video useful and you are learning something from it, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. And make sure you turn on the notifications bell so that you're alerted when I drop a new video. And the second issue is access to money itself. We tend to assume that banks are there to serve us, but billions worldwide are either unbanked or underbanked, blocked by fees, paperwork, lack of ID, or even by cultural restrictions. And this is true even in wealthy countries like the US.
Warehouse clerk Paula Jones used to stash her cash in a can.
We was taught, you keep your money at home. It was like, don't deal with banks.
Jones was unbanked, no bank account, as are 6 million U.S. households. Black households unbanked at more than 5 times the rate of white ones.
There's been a distrust of financial institutions since down through history.
And even for those with access to the system, it can be slow and costly. Sending money abroad can take days, with fees stacked on at every step. And remittances, the money that workers send home from abroad, can lose 5 to 10% of every paycheck to middlemen like Western Union. This is a system designed for the few. Wealthy people get cheap loans and premium service. The rest of us, we pay fees and wait in queues. Bitcoin is different because anyone with a phone and an internet connection can use it. No permission needed. You can send value instantly across borders 24/7 for literal pennies, especially with the Lightning Network. And that's why It's growing fast in countries like the Philippines and Indonesia, where millions rely on remittances but lack fair access to banking. Now, this third problem is one that most people don't think about until it affects them directly, and that is the censorship of your money. If someone else can freeze or block your funds, well, it isn't really yours. And it happens way more often than we like to admit.
We've been covering the protests in Hong Kong since they began and seen this modern metropolis descend into a city of fire as local citizens fight back against China's growing influence and control.
In Hong Kong, during the pro-democracy protests, banks froze the accounts of activists, lawmakers, and even their families. In Canada, during the trucker protests, accounts were shut down overnight. In the UK, pro-Palestine groups have had their bank accounts frozen indefinitely. In Singapore, the police now have the power to freeze people's bank accounts for months at a time under the guise of anti-fraud measures. And in the past, apps like PayPal and Robinhood have been known to restrict or delay withdrawals and trading. So the problem here is that in the fiat system, your financial freedom depends on the approval of banks, corporations, and governments. But Bitcoin is censorship resistant. If you hold your own keys, no one else can block, freeze, or seize your money. That's why, in times of unrest, Bitcoin often trades at a premium, as we saw in Hong Kong in 2019. People value censorship-resistant money when it becomes clear that they are being, well, censored. Problem number 4 is wealth inequality. For generations, the assets that build wealth, property, equities, gold, businesses, they've all been gated behind barriers. You needed large deposits, good connections, brokerage accounts, and most importantly, access to cheap credit. Ordinary savers are left holding cash that loses value before they can even accumulate enough to buy these valuable assets. Take property as a prime example. In 1980, an average house in Auckland, where I grew up, cost about 6 times the annual minimum wage. If that ratio had held, the average home today would cost about $290,000. Instead, it's closer to $1 million. This story is the same in cities all around the world. For many people, home ownership is out of reach. Meanwhile, corporations and wealthy investors use leverage, that is, cheap debt secured by other assets that they own, to scoop up property assets and rent them back to everyone else.
Like most people in manufactured housing, Madeline owns her home, but pays monthly rent to the park owner for the land it sits on.
When I retired, I looked at my money and my situation, and I'm like, okay, great. I knew what the rent was. It was 1/3 of my income. And then the conglomerate came in and offered, apparently, the owner money that he couldn't resist.
3 years ago, a private equity firm bought Madeline's community and later sold to another firm. Since then, her monthly rent plus fees have jumped 50%.
The system widens the gap, generation after generation. Bitcoin changes the rules. It's open to everyone. It's divisible down to a single Satoshi or 100 millionth of a Bitcoin. You do not need to buy an entire Bitcoin. You also don't need a banker, a loan, or a vault. And historically, Bitcoin has outperformed every other asset class. It gives ordinary people a way to own scarce, valuable property without having to ask permission from anybody. And last but not least, the 5th problem that Bitcoin solves is trust. The fiat system runs on trust. You are forced to trust politicians not to debase your currency. You're forced to trust banks to release your funds when you need them. You're forced to trust central bankers to manage inflation, usually by creating more of it. But history shows that trust is often broken. In 2008, banks collapsed and got bailed out, while Wall Street still paid out billions in bonuses.
It's really simple. You just got a bunch of really clever, greedy, ruthless people together, and the rewards are massive and the risks of getting caught are negligible. So they are going to do everything in their power via insider trading, spreading false rumors, market manipulation, anything. They'll just game the system to make a fast buck.
In Argentina, Lebanon, and Zimbabwe, and countless others, currencies have collapsed, wiping out people's savings. In Lebanon, people woke up one morning in 2019 to find they couldn't withdraw dollars from their bank accounts. Their life savings almost disappeared overnight.
As the political climate deteriorated, the banking sector got nervous. Fearful of a bank run that could ensue from the protests, they began to withhold foreign reserves, particularly dollars, effectively locking people out of their own deposits. As one can expect, taking away people's savings was not a good idea. The public were furious, and faith in the local currency diminished. People began to exchange their Lebanese pounds for dollars, and because banks no longer offered exchange services, the currency black market boomed, and this caused the exchange rate to plummet. The drop was both quick and devastating.
So the problem is, on a long enough timeline, every trust-based system fails. Bitcoin is trustless. It doesn't run on faith in people and institutions, but on code and math. Transactions are verified on a transparent ledger that anyone can audit. If you self-custody, nobody can seize or block your Bitcoin. You don't need to trust the system, you can verify it yourself. So there you have it. 5 big problems that Bitcoin solves for us. Just to recap, number 1, inflation and money printing. Number 2, unfair access to banking. Number 3, censorship and control. Number 4, wealth inequality and gatekeeping. And number 5, the need to trust institutions. Again, these aren't abstract problems. They affect billions of people every day, and sooner or later, they will affect all of us. They all trace back to a debt-fueled fiat system that incentivizes all the behaviors that create inequality and misery for so many. So what do? Start small. Buy a little Bitcoin regularly. Move it into self-custody. Hold it long-term. Don't panic over short-term price moves. When you understand the problems that Bitcoin solves, you understand why it has to grow over the long run. And that is why Bitcoin matters, not as a get-rich-quick scheme, but as a tool that fixes money itself. If you hold your own Bitcoin, you may still have 99 problems, but money won't be one of them. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel and click on that little notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I drop a new video. Also, check out the suggested video that has just popped up on your screen, and also don't forget to go to the video description below and find the link to my Substack, because that is where I drop my new content first. See you in the next video.